When we started 2013, we promised everybody we were going to have a party to celebrate our century, and did we ever? Let's look back at the year that was and some of the great events that took place in Port Moody.
The centennial year got off to a chilly start at Rocky Point Park with the annual penguin plunge. Over 400 people going in the water and thousands of people down watching the antics. What a great way to start our centennial year. In February, the Port Moody Heritage Society took the wraps off of Tracks in Time, the most comprehensive history of Port Moody ever to be put into print. Great book that everybody should own, capturing the first 100 years of Port Moody's history. Also in February, the centennial version of Wearable Arts. Wearable Arts from the Port Moody Arts Center Society has become a world-renowned international event with artists submitting entries from all over the globe. Another great show put on this year, and we look forward to continuing this event in the future. On April the 7th, 100 years after the original 1813 council meeting, the current council reenacted the 1913 council meeting, and we were honored to be joined by former mayors John Northey and David Driscoll, as well as our good friend Mayor of Port Coquitlam Greg Moore, and our own Ron Higo taking part as the city clerk. Great time was had by all, and I think the audience really enjoyed some of the impromptu humor as well. Everyone loves a parade, and Port Moody residents came out by the thousands to enjoy the first parade in Port Moody in decades. June 22nd was the Centennial Parade with hundreds, literally hundreds of entries, thousands of people lining the route on a beautiful day, and culminating with the All Nations Festival in Rocky Point Park. The city had a great float in the parade. The city of Port Coquitlam and Coquitlam had floats in the parade. And the Power Squadron, Thrifty's Foods, there's Linda Reamer, MLA, traveling in the parade. There's our own Councillor Diana Dilworth. She loves a parade. She's wanted to have a parade for a long time in Port Moody. And who's going to follow up Diana? Well, there's Jerry Nuttall, the chair of the Centennial Committee, enjoying the festival and riding in one of the classic cars that were donated. There goes Councillor Bob Elliott zooming by. Looks like he's in a hurry to get somewhere. And Councillor Rick Glumac, joined by his lovely daughter in the front seat as they make their way down Murray Street and towards the festivities at Rocky Point Park. Unfortunately, the cameraman missed Councillor Smalls and Councillor Roy's cars going by. There's a former Miss Port Moody. There are still Miss Port Moody, Colonel and Mary Moody, again in one of the classic cars. There's our own Jim Miller in the Historic Society float, the beautiful float commemorating some of Port Moody's past. And the gang making their way down Murray Street again. The Port Moody Public Library, superheroes for reading this year, having a good time in the parade. Don't know where they got that hair, but they're looking good. There's the Port Moody Ecological Society, Salmon on a Stick for 100 years, and the Port Moody Soccer Club, always a big force in our community. There's the City of Coquitlam with their float, their entry. And there's Mayor Greg Moore from Port Coquitlam and the Port Coquitlam float. And there's Councillor Mike Forrest accompanying Greg as they make their way also up towards the All Nations Festival. Give us a wave, Greg. There we go. And we got lots of kids on their flight. Port Coquitlam is pretty good with the floats with their May Day parade. There's the historic Port Moody fire truck. Beautiful truck that's been maintained by the fire department and the Salvation Army out showing their support for our community as well. And who can forget the Can-Can dancers in the Golden Spike Days Society. Golden Spike Days putting on their commemorative centennial event on the July 1st holiday weekend. Another great event for them. There's the Power Squadron with the Scoundrels playing live music in a parade. Great show and great showing by the Power Squadron. Safe boating and having a little fun. So Port Moody Arts Center Society, of course, dressed up beautifully. And here comes our own waste management trucks, the City of Port Moody, the Port Moody Fire Department, Port Moody Fire Rescue, the Port Moody Police, and then there's the city's float with the cake and all the great people from the city who helped make that. In July, the city partnered with the Arts Center Society to host the second annual Youth Arts Festival. A wonderful expression of art from the young people in our community, proving once again why we are the city of the arts. Singing, dancing, all sorts of performing arts. Good time were had by all, and we hope to see this event back again next year as well. August brought what I'm sure was the fan favorite in Port Moody of the Centennial events. Community picnic and fireworks day at Rocky Point Park. What a great day. Beautiful day in the park. Start off with Charlotte Diamond entertaining the kids. A variety of entertainers live on the stage. A tug of war. There was kids games. There was a decorate your bike contest. All sorts of great stuff going on down there. You get your firefighters down there entertaining the kids with their firehouse. There's the Share Bear out dancing to the local music. Oh, he looks like he's having a great time. We had the city was doing the t-shirt making. Oh, there's the kids doing an egg race. All sorts of events for the kids at this event, and I think all the parents appreciated an opportunity to get the kids down, get them outside. There's the t-shirt painting booth that the city had with QP825 helping out with that event, and there's all the paint going on the shirts. Of course, the C-SPAN fighting tugboat was here displaying its huge nozzles that sprayed the water hundreds of feet into the air. A big crowd gathered to watch that on the dock. We had some face painting going on, some youth painting, youth volunteers, tons of volunteers involved in this event. And again, the city can't say enough about the volunteers that came out in our centennial year. There's the Decorate Your Bike contest, and they're being piped in by the piper. What a great way for these kids to enter. There's a couple of youngsters that were collecting donations for Share, and there's council and myself addressing the audience and getting ready for the ABBA tribute band that was coming up later the night. What a great time. Everybody's having fun at this event. Lots of people out dancing, lots of people out having food and entertaining with the kids. Of course, the event culminated later in the evening with a fireworks display that's probably the best fireworks display Port Moody's ever seen. The event went on for about 25 minutes. It was spectacular over the inlet. Beautiful night for it. Just enough wind to blow the smoke away, and a beautiful way to spend a night. The next day, CPR, contributing to our centennial event, was taking people on train rides, free train rides with donations to the museum from Port Moody Station out to Mission and back, or you could do one way and come back on a bus or go out on a bus. Great trip, great piece of history, and really important with a railroad town that we have that connection back to our past. Probably the longest event in the making for the centennial year is the centennial wall hanging, now hanging in the Galleria area outside the library. This wonderful piece of work was put together by, literally thousands of volunteer hours, knitting and stitching this piece together that captures all of Port Moody's past and present and maybe even future. Beautiful piece of work. There's Ann Kitching and Rose Cap who were leading the project and just did a fantastic piece of work, and it's mounted proudly in the Galleria for everybody to enjoy, and we're all very proud. Another great annual event in Port Moody, held at the Kyle Center, is the Rock and Gem Show, put on by the Port Moody Rock and Gem Club. All these amazing pieces of rocks and stones and gems that are being gathered and polished by the members of the club, and then others coming from outside the city. And now they're putting their wares for sale at this event. This magnificent gemstone is a 100-faceted gem that was polished up by one of the members with 100 facets on it to coincide with Port Moody's 100th anniversary, and they have gifted that rock to the city of Port Moody. We thank them so much for that, and that'll be proudly on display in the city outside the Galleria.
Hi, I'm John Northey, a former mayor back in the mid-90s and a former alderman. We've been in Port Moody for 42 years, love it. Would recommend it to anybody, and we're just delighted to be around to celebrate its 100th anniversary.
David Driscoll, happy birthday Port Moody, 100 years of wonderful people and great place. Thank you.
Ready.
Hi, I'm Nikki Forster, and I've lived in Port Moody for 21 years. And I love everything about it. I love the nature. I like having deer in my yard and bears, and I like all the volunteering that I do with the city. And happy birthday. It's been a long time coming, 100 years. Take care.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Port Moody!
My name is Anne Hulbert. I wish Port Moody a very happy birthday, and also it is my anniversary of coming to Canada.
Of course, it's all not fun and games for council. We had a lot of work to do this year, and we got down to it. Let's have a look at some of what we accomplished over 2013. Murray Street is an important east-west transportation corridor through Port Moody, and in particular it's used by a lot of bicyclists and pedestrians. So this year the city's completed a bike pathway and a bike lane on Murray Street, connecting from Guildford, Ioko, all the way back to the inlet soccer field. The rest of the bike lane will be finished when the decisions are made regarding the future of the Murray corridor and how wide the streets are going to be, how much pedestrian movement is going to be in that area, and what the redevelopment of that area might look like. But for now, we've got the connection to get people from the inlet center area all the way down to Rocky Point Park, nice and safely on the bike paths and on the sidewalks. The Moody Street overpass for years has given the pedestrian access from Moody Center down to the waterfront in Rocky Point Park. But as everybody knows, it's been a real challenge with the narrow sidewalk getting baby strollers, dogs, and bikes across the overpass. This year, through partnership with the province, we were able to take advantage of some seismic funding, some seismic upgrade funding, and we're putting a nice wide walkway on the bridge, as you can see being built behind me. This will be open in the spring, and it'll allow people to come down comfortably down into Rocky Point, keeping everybody safe. The bridge is being added onto on the outside. It'll be a nice wide walkway that can easily accommodate strollers, bikes, and people with dogs and young children, and everybody will be safe getting down to the park where they're coming down to enjoy the activities at Rocky Point. This year the city participated with funding provided from the provincial government in installing 4 EV charging stations in the city of Port Moody. There's one here at Rocky Point, one at the rec center, one at Kyle Center, and one in the works yard. This allows people with electric vehicles to plug in their cars while they're visiting any of those facilities. This is really important infrastructure for people to get used to and get introduced electric vehicles into our system. I'm standing on St. George Street, which is often used as a rat-running corridor when traffic gets bad on St. John Street. So the residents in this area for years have been asking the city, what can we do to cut down on the traffic that cuts through our neighborhood to avoid the rush hour? So what council did this year was they asked staff to put in these barricades behind us that keep the through traffic from going through on St. George. So this is blocked off at Kyle Street, forcing the through traffic to turn left and go back to St. John's. Seems like it's working so far. We're getting feedback from the residents that they generally support it, so we're eager to see how it works out as we move forward into the spring and summer of next year. Having previously reacquired the lands at 3002 Murray Street from the provincial government, the city moved forward in 2013 to dedicate these lands as park through zoning and park dedication. Now the community garden and the property next door to it become a part of the Rocky Point Park Shoreline Trail Network for the public and the residents to enjoy into the future. So maybe an expansion of the community garden or other use of this land that people can enjoy and take advantage of.
Through a partnership with the Coquitlam Farmers Market and the Port Moody Police, we were able to open a new community garden on the vacant property next to the police building. Great way to bring the community together and have some fun and do some gardening.
Standing here in front of the Appleyard House, which is temporarily stored at the corner of St. George and Kyle Street, waiting to find its new home beside the Arts Center on St. John Street. We were able to take a heritage house that had to be moved to accommodate the Evergreen line and combine that with the City of the Arts at the Arts Center to give them additional programming space and event space that they desperately need as their programs and their building are bursting at its seams. We look forward in the spring to having this building moved on to a new foundation and the expanded Arts Center opening through funding that we've received from the federal government and the City of Port Moody and fundraising that the Arts Center Society is doing. We really look forward to this space coming online and expanding our presence as the City of the Arts.
Big focus for this council since 2011 is increasing the way we communicate with the public. You can see our new presence on Facebook, Twitter, our media engagement. We're really taking this to the next level, and we're really proud of what we've been able to accomplish, but know we've got a long way to go. We look forward to interacting with people and using the new technologies over the coming year as well, and ever increasing our presence.
2014 promises to be another exciting year in Port Moody. Let's look ahead at what we hope we can accomplish next year and beyond as we work on our OCP and get ready for the Evergreen line.
One of the most important things we'll be working on in 2014 is the OCP. Working with the community, we know we've got a ways to go on this plan, but we'll be engaging with the public, coming up with a plan that works for the residents that are here today, our children and our grandchildren, to make sure that Port Moody remains the most livable and most beautiful city in the world. Of course, the Evergreen SkyTrain line is the big reason for the OCP update and another big impact on our community, probably as big as anything we've seen since the CPR came through here the first time. It's going to be a big change for our community, and we need to make sure that we're planning for it and accommodating in a way that suits our community best. We're looking forward in early 2014 to bringing online the new Inlet Center Fire Hall, replacing the sorely in need of replacement Fire Hall 1. Port Moody Police are undertaking an update of their strategic plan at the police board, and their new police chief, Chris Rattenbury, who's come on board this year. We look forward to developing programs with him over the coming year as well. Of course, we all value Eagle Ridge Hospital in our community, and staying on the safety theme, we look forward to working with them on their plans for expansion to make this a more full-service hospital, upgraded ER, and more comfortable for the patients that are having to stay there for extended periods. In 2013, the city manager initiated a series of MSAs, or municipal service assessments, going through the city department by department, ensuring that we're getting full value for taxpayer dollars. This process will continue in 2014. We've had some great outcomes, and we're looking for some more, continuing to provide the highest level of service most economically to the taxpayers that we can.
On behalf of all of us at City Hall, staff and council, we want to wish you the very best of the holiday season, a Merry Christmas, and a healthy, happy, and prosperous New Year. Let's go into 2014 and make it the best year ever in Port Moody.